All right, YouTube, as before, excuse me if I'm a little bit sniffly, a little bit congested. The allergy count is lower now that it's dark out, I guess. A little bit less breezy, but it's still pretty bad. I'm definitely feeling the pain. I actually have like body aches, especially in my back when the allergy count's this high. Like I can abuse my body, I feel fine, but the allergy count gets up there, I feel like I'm sick. I'm not actually sick. I'm not infected with anything. I just feel miserable, and it's all the pine trees' fault. I blame them. So I really want to get rid of all of them and, plant some apple trees or something. Get rid of all the pine trees, everybody. But it's time to talk about Venezuela again because now we've got another layer of failure, and this really hits to the core of Venezuelan culture. Socialist nations tend to pride themselves on their literacy. And it's true. Socialism for education, as far as making sure people are literate, does really well. So it costs a lot, but it certainly does fairly well to make sure people can like read and write and do basic math. We see this in North Korea. Their illiteracy rate is functionally zero. It's actually better than our illiteracy rate. Although I'll tell you, I think our illiteracy rate's a lot higher than the 3 or 4% that's usually spoken of. I think it's closer to 20 or 30% ultimately, because even people in colleges apparently are half literate. It's pretty sad. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but Venezuela, because of the oil price collapse, because central planning doesn't work, because Maduro is insane, because Hugo Chavez was insane, and just the oil prices hadn't collapsed when he was still not 6 feet underground. The schools have begun to shutter. Nobody's showing up. There's no electricity. In some cases, there's no running water. There's certainly no school supplies. People aren't even learning. You're going to have an entire generation. If this drags on for too long, you end up with a generation that is less literate than the one before it. Very, very sad. When this begins to impact the young, that's really when people go truly apeshit. Now, older people, they have a high, you keep them a little bit tipsy, they'll take some level of abuse. So, I'm not going to rock the boat. Yeah, things are kind of screwed up, but oh well, I can fucking deal with it. At least I had this bowl of beans to put in my stomach. I got a bed and I'm not truly starving yet, so I guess it's okay. Anything for the glory of socialism. Once you begin to impugn upon people's children, that's when they're likely to rip your fucking head off. In Venezuela, as a Latin American state with a high birth rate, you've got a lot of children down there that need to be educated. Now, Venezuela, oddly enough, with a failing school system that like no longer even has fucking electricity, is arguably better off than about half of the rest of the third world. Like some of the African states, maybe Cambodia or something like that, certainly like Bolivia or something. But by the standards of Venezuelans who were developing rather quickly because of the high prices in oil, for a culture that was rapidly approaching development, I can't imagine being a parent in Venezuela. Your kid is hungry. They've got electricity too, maybe 3 days out of the week if they're lucky, unless they're like they're like a military family or something. Now they can't even go to school. So I guess the idea, they'd keep kids home from school to use less electricity or something. But it's less efficient to do that. It's actually more efficient to get them into one building and supply that one building with electricity than to send them home and have a fucking 1,000 homes having to use electricity at the same time instead of just the one school building where people are more concentrated. Maduro hasn't understood this, I guess. He either failed basic planning, basic strategy, or he doesn't fucking care and he's just using it as an excuse. I guess maybe Maduro's worried that if the kids are all in school, that the parents will go out and protest while the kids are at school, and then they'll be back. They'll have a few bruises, but they'll be back to pick little Jimmy or little Pablo up from the fucking school or something. Maduro's head's gonna hang from a pike at some point here. And nothing better for him, really, at this point. For somebody to screw up their nation. How do you screw up a nation? You've got a nation that has the largest proven oil reserves on Earth. You've got, just fucking lakes and lakes of black gold swarming beneath your territory, ripe for the extraction. Everybody wants oil. The US wants oil, the Chinese want oil, the Russians want oil, the Europeans want oil. Everybody wants what you have. And yet you're so fucking inept that despite the fact that you are sitting on a literal sea of oil, you can't even balance your budget because you frittered away all the money you did make on just giving people handouts. So you have human development. People have microwaves. People have the fucking washing machine. Now they don't even have electricity to run the fucking washing machine because of Maduro screwing up so badly. And it wasn't just Maduro. These people who say, well, Hugo Chavez is great, Maduro is just inept. Maduro didn't see the price collapse of oil either. Maduro continued the failed policies of Chavez, and here's the problem with socialism. The government gets very, very efficient at frittering away money on useless shit. We see it here in the U.S. to a lesser degree. We've got more of a mixed economy. We've got one part socialism, one part capitalism. The part that's capitalism works. The part that's socialism is a hell of a lot more expensive and a lot less fucking efficient. Maduro simply continued doing everything that Chavez did. What the fuck did he change until recently? Nothing. It's just that Chavez never had to deal with an oil price collapse. Nicolas Maduro does. So yeah, when oil becomes 1/4 as expensive as it was before, and your economy is essentially 100% fucking petroleum, yeah, you're going to be making a very small share of what you were making before. What happens to your handouts now? Now you can't even power those handouts. You gave people the microwave oven. You gave them the dishwasher. You gave them the toaster. You gave them the air conditioner. Now they don't even have electricity to run them more than 2 days a week. That's a fucking problem. Some of these ghetto housing projects, these socialized, centrally planned housing projects that they put up, are shell buildings. They don't even have plumbing. You might as well you go outside and you shit on the lawn. You squat down and shit on the floor. You don't even have running water in some of these buildings. Oh, we're going to get to it, says Maduro, and he never did. And people feel betrayed, including many socialists within Venezuela, including some members of the working class there that aren't used to being abused like this. Now, is it Maduro's fault that the oil prices collapsed? No. Hell no. It had nothing to do with him. It had to do with the Arabian states more than anybody else. That and the fact that the U.S. invented the concept of more advanced fracking techniques that allows more extraction of fuel. It wasn't Maduro's fault, but the way in which he didn't plan ahead is what's fucking him up. And it's going to end up with Maduro shot or hung, or hanging off a tree or off a lamppost somewhere, or up on a fucking pike. And he probably deserves it. People are beginning to die in Venezuela. I know so often people tend to politicize these things as though the death of a communist or a socialist meant anything less than the death of a capitalist. It doesn't. I don't want to see any Venezuelans suffer and die. I don't know of anybody in their right mind who does want to see that happen. Maduro's the one causing it. It's not the U.S. So what? There's a fucking embargo. There's an embargo on Cuba forever. They muddled through it somehow. Yeah, things are a little bit outdated there. They have cars from the 1950s. Now all the Americans are going back in to buy them up as rare collector's items because they've been maintained that long. In Venezuela's case, though, it wasn't the U.S.'s fault. They're sitting on the largest proven oil reserves on the face of the earth. It's like Saudi Arabia on steroids. The difference is Saudi Arabia actually looks pretty developed, pretty good right now compared to what Venezuela's going through. Now, what's the fucking difference? The fucking difference is they invested much of that centralized money in expanding their infrastructure, increasing their efficiency so they could keep pumping, so they could keep funding the programs that they made. The fact is that Bernie Sanders' land, la fucking socialist paradise is collapsing. Maduro is to blame for continuing Chavez retard policies and not responsible for the collapse in oil prices, but all those kids that now can't really go to school because the school's fucked up, that's his fault. That has everything to do with him. He's supposed to be managing these things because it's centrally planned. Well, where's the management? Where's the strategy? Where's the grand strategy of Maduro to deal with this other than to beat people down when they protest and hope that the oil price rises? Yeah, if that happened here, people would be going ape shit already without their fucking iPods or whatever. I don't know how the fucking Venezuelans even manage. You're in a tropical climate. How the hell do you manage without an air conditioner? Here it's like 75 right now. I'm feeling the pain because of the pollen count. I can't even imagine what it's like down there. So I feel sorry for them. I don't hate any Venezuelans. I've never met any to hate. I think I hate Maduro, though, because he's making those human beings down there suffer. I don't care whether they're socialists or not. They're still humans. Maybe humans with strange economic ideas, but they're still living, breathing people, and children of all don't really deserve to suffer. No matter what the fucking conditions are, the children shouldn't be the ones suffering. Maduro appears ready, willing, and able to let them suffer to make his retarded political points clear, as opposed to actually allowing some degree of development to occur, courtesy of the international community and people like Capriles. It's wild what's happening in Venezuela. I half expect to wake up some morning and see that it's collapsed, that Maduro is dead, the opposition rose up, the military rose up, something happened, there's been a coup or whatever. I half expect to see that basically any day now. Unless the oil prices suddenly skyrocket, it probably will. That's about all. Peace out.